What's up guys? Today we're gonna talk about success. So let me start the video by talking about a guy called Terry A. Davis. So this guy was super smart. He basically developed his own operating system like Windows or Apple. He wrote every line of code himself, made his own coding language from scratch. But he never became the next Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. Actually, in the later years of his life, he became homeless. And eventually he got hit by a train and died. So why do I start the video with this? So how come someone extremely smart like Terry A. Davis did not reach success? So that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. And because if we figure out why he never became successful, we can also figure out how we can prevent ourselves from going down the same path and actually reaching success in ourselves. So at the same time we will play the Mage's Quest here in Skyrim, and basically I just did the introduction, so we're gonna go for the first quest right now. Before that, for every like this video gets, I will make this character's neck even longer. So like the video. So let's actually start. So how come somebody super smart like Terry A. Davis did never reach success? Well, there are some people less smarter than him that make millions. So I thought about this topic, and in my opinion it comes down to three things. So the first thing is wanting the world. So what does that mean, wanting the world? So in the previous video, a commenter said that success comes from habits. So I agree with this, but I would ask what actually makes you set these daily habits, because they basically don't come from nothing, right? You don't just like one day say, oh, I'm gonna do like I'm gonna read 10 pages a day, or I'm gonna go to the gym daily. So what makes you actually form these habits? And this is of course the goal. Like if you don't have a goal, you don't actually form habits, right? And a clear defined goal makes you form habits that actually help you reach that goal. So basically if you never want money, you will never have money, right? And I think that was one of the main problems with Terry A. Davis. Like a lot of people, they either don't have a goal, a clear defined goal, or they just set their goal as something like having a comfortable life. And the habits that come from that are pretty obvious, right? If you want to just have a comfortable life, what habits do you form from that? Like sitting on a couch, watching TV, doing the minimum amount of work, not going to the gym, not reading books. You can see what I'm trying to say. If you don't want everything, you will never get everything. So Skyrim here is pretty much the same. If you don't set like a goal like I want to reach level 100, basically you're never gonna reach level 100. Only if you like have a specific goal, you can actually reach it. But most Skyrim players already set this goal when you start the game. And this is different in real life, where in real life most people don't really have a set goal. So the same is true with Terry A. Davis. So what he could have done, instead of like building his own OS, which is cool and requires a lot of intelligence, but what would have been smarter is to actually use his intelligence to try to become rich, right? Because let's keep in mind that later in life he became homeless, right? So instead of like building his own OS, what would have been smarter is like to build something he can actually sell, kind of like Windows or Apple did. So his approach would change. Basically, what I would change about this approach is basically like come up with something that he can actually sell. And he should use his intelligence not for his own hobby, but rather like for his goal. And this would basically prevent him from becoming homeless later in life. So by having a clear defined goal, wanting something, he can actually use his intelligence to get this thing. But if you just do whatever, if he would have just done whatever, and he basically did just whatever, you know, he probably liked writing code, he probably liked making his own OS, but when you look back at it, it was pretty dumb of him to do that, because it led him to like build his own OS, but it didn't really help anybody, right? It didn't really help the public, and it didn't really help himself. So all it did was like he made his OS, nobody used it, and he became homeless. So all of this could have changed if he just had his own goal and basically put his intelligence to a practical use. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about why I think that someone like Terry A. Davis or people in general never really reach success is because they don't cheat. So let's start with Skyrim. In Skyrim, you're the biggest cheater. So maybe right now you're saying to yourself, oh, I never cheat. I don't even play with mods. But in my opinion, the whole game is cheating. So something like, for example, reloading, the fact that you can like save the game and then if you die you can just reload it, that is cheating. The fact that you're immortal, basically you never age, you never get scars, you can never lose limbs, you're basically immortal inside the game. And you're the Dragonborn. You're the only one who can basically save the world. The whole world revolves around you. You're always the center of attention. It's also cheating. You learn dragon shouts in like 1 second. The Greybeards need like 60 years. And how about the fact that you level faster than anybody else? Where a normal NPC basically stays for their whole life for 20 years at like level 1 or level 2. It takes you like what, 20 days to get to level 50? And at any time, if the game is too hard for you, you can just change the difficulty, right? So you can see that just playing the game, you're already the biggest cheater inside the game. And the reason why this happens is because you basically exploit the world around you. The player exploits the world, the player exploits the NPCs by basically being better than everybody else and having all these cheats that the NPCs don't have. And most players go even further here and they exploit the world even further. They basically use glitches, and Skyrim has lots of glitches you can exploit. They use hacks, like, I don't know, like only making like iron diggers to reach smithing level 100. There's many hacks like that in Skyrim, and lots of players use them. The other way that most players exploit the game is by using mods or using console commands, which can also be easily done. And you can see that everything in Skyrim is basically cheating. The reason why the game is so fun is because you're the biggest cheater inside. And the real world, in my opinion, is mostly the same. The reason why people like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates became so rich is not because they're like intelligent, like for example Terry A. Davis, but because they're big cheaters. So let me tell you a story. Back in time, computers didn't actually have a mouse. You just had to like type commands. So it was very hard to use computers. So there was a company called Xerox, and that company came up with the idea of a mouse to make the computer, basically using computers more easy. So Apple just straight up stole that idea and put it into their own computers, which then made them easy to use, and they sold around the world, and Apple became a huge success. And then later Microsoft came in and copied a lot of Macintosh, the Apple OS. They copied the interface and the graphics to make it basically make their own computers kind of look like Apple, so they also become successful. And Microsoft still does this nowadays. You can just look at like their computers or their OS, how like even nowadays they still copy Apple and try to basically copy the Apple design to make it look like Apple. So you can see that these people didn't become rich by inventing stuff or being intelligent. They become rich by basically cheating and copying other people's work. So the original inventors, like for example Xerox, they're still unknown today and very unsuccessful. While the people who actually stole their ideas are now very successful and have lots of money. And I think the same thing happened to someone like Terry A. Davis, who is very smart and who is an inventor, but he's not a businessman. So cheating could have actually made him rich here, could have made him like Steve Jobs or like Bill Gates, but he never used it. And maybe some here right now say that it's actually good that he never became a cheater, but I disagree, because I think it's better to cheat a little bit and make some money rather than to see him becoming homeless and eventually die, right? So the third thing I want to talk about is why people like Terry A. Davis never really became successful is self-love. So later in life, Terry A. Davis struggled a lot from mental issues. Basically, he was going on rants online about how the CIA is responsible, why his life is so bad right now, and other like schizophrenic rants. Think a lot of people who are unsuccessful have mental issues. So how can you as yourself stay sane even if you have nothing? And here we can actually look at Skyrim again, because right now while playing the game in Skyrim, I'm at a really low level. So I have no money, I don't even have a house yet, but I'm happy, right? I'm happy inside the game. Why? Because I have self-love. Because I have my own character, and this character gives me reliable happiness. Basically, looking at this goofy, long-necked character is still fun, no matter what level I am. And that's basically what self-love is, and it's the ultimate fail-safe. Basically, this thing you can fall back to when you have nothing. And even if you're level 1 and you're wearing rags and you're having no money and you're in chains, you still have that character that you like. And of course, I don't really want to look like this long-necked character here. It's just something I came up for the video because it's funny. But I think you understand the concept. Like in Skyrim, you start the game by making a character you like. And even if you're level 1 and you have 0 gold and you have no like good clothes or no good armors, you still like yourself because you build yourself. And then in the real world, you can do the same, especially if you use the tools I mentioned before. You can build a character that you actually like, and this character will be the ultimate failsafe, that even if you lose everything, which can happen in real life, you can still fall back to your character, and even if you lose everything, you still have yourself. So that was basically the video. Let me know what you think, and like the video if you want to increase this character's neck size. So that was the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye.